everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Misty and today we're going to be talking about part 1 of 3 things you may be doing wrong in homeschooling. Now listen, I've spent a lot of time with kids. I was in field with children for years, and there are just certain things that I've noticed and certain things that kind of make me cringe when I hear them. And while being in the homeschool community for the past 2 years, there are similar themes that I notice, and there are things that I've noticed are challenges with homeschool parents. And I personally believe that a lot of these issues that come up boil down to 3 specific topics or things that you could be applying to your homeschooling experience. And today we're going to begin the conversation of talking about what those 3 things could be. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Misty and I am a homeschooling mom of 2 beautiful little girls. And on this channel here, I hope to help you out and make homeschooling easier and to give you resources to use within your own homeschooling experience. So if you find yourself looking for more relatable content and advice to just make your experience easier with your homeschooling, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. That way you can stay up to date with all of the future videos. And also, if you do end up finding this video useful in any way for you, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button so I know you want to see more videos like this in the future. All right, let's talk about part 1 of the 3 things you may be doing wrong in homeschool. So part 1 is all about brain breaks. So before we get into brain breaks and what it's about, I want to say that these are my own opinion and these are the conclusions I've came to with my experience, my background with education, my homeschooling and our teaching style. There's so many things that go into the factors, so don't take this too harshly. If you feel like one of these doesn't work for you, then keep on moving. Just take what you find useful and leave the rest. So here's why I want to talk about brain breaks and why it's so crucial that you're using them and how it can make your homeschooling experience go a lot smoother with a lot less stress. And that is because a lot of times, to be honest, I hear parents saying that they are spending like 40 minutes. That's just an estimated number, but give or take whatever number, but they're spending these long periods of time on one specific school subject. And yes, your kid could technically do 40 minutes, but I guarantee you, from my own experience, they're not having the best time. And a lot of times to come along with this, parents are feeling like homeschooling is just not fun and it's this chore that kind of gets dragged along. That's something I commonly see with this specific situation. So that's why I'm bringing up brain breaks. And brain breaks go hand in hand with attention span time frames. I feel like that was a mouthful to say, but they go hand in hand. So we're going to talk about those 2 things kind of intertwined. So back to what I was saying, when I hear of parents doing like 40, 50 minutes, even 30 minutes, okay, on a subject, I kind of cringe because I've been there and it was not a good experience for us. I found my oldest daughter really struggling to want to do homeschool, to find the joy in it. And when your kid's not loving it and they're not, they're kind of just dragging their feet, it's not fun. It's not a good time for anybody. And it makes you start to second guess you as the homeschooling parent. Like, are you cut out for this? There's so many different aspects that come into play in this kind of situation. So when I was doing that, I realized it wasn't working for us. And sometimes I forget that I have a background of working with kids and I have to kind of think back and kind of pull in the reins and be like, look, you know how to do this. You've been doing it. So then I sat and thought about it and I did the research and I came to a conclusion about how to handle how long we go with schooling and how brain breaks play into this. And so here's what I came up with as the conclusion. I became mostly favorable to 2 specific studies done about attention time spans with kids. And I don't remember the titles or how they work, but the first one is, once again, I can't remember the study, but the first one is that the proper attention time span to work on a subject would be your child's age plus a minute, give or take, and that would be as long as you would want to work on a subject. Now, I feel like for us, that doesn't really work. Now, I do have a toddler, and with the toddler, yeah, I could see that being the time span that she would do, maybe 15 minutes max, but really 3 minutes on something is plenty of time before she's like, all right, I'm over this. She's a very temperamental girl anyways, and she wants to do what she wants to do. So I could see that for like really young minds. But for my child who is actually elementary age, I still appreciated this theory, but I didn't think it worked for us because my daughter could go for longer spans of time. And the second study was about a 20-minute time span. So I found that with my oldest daughter, what worked better was that 20-minute time frame, and it's give or take with that 20 minutes, guys. But the idea is that after about 20 minutes, their brains are just too overstimulated, and that's when you start to see the frustration set in, the antsiness, and their unwillingness to continue learning. And I do feel like this is more accurate for my school-aged kid, Viviana. So I chose specifically to go with the 20-minute rule, but I still thought the other one was worth mentioning in case that's what you need to follow. But with my daughter, I will usually use my watcher. I've done videos in the past where you've seen me set my watch, and that's just to ensure that I don't push myself to go over 20 minutes. Me personally, I'm a very type A. I'm a listing person or a planning person, so I personally love to plow through something and just get the entire lesson done. But the truth is that with younger kids, that's not really what the goal or the objective is. And I think that we lose sight of that by trying to complete a lesson to feel like we have like a task checked off. But with a kid's brain, that's not how it works. Their brains are constantly firing off those new neurons. They're currently building new bridges. It's always this new and developing thing. And so they're not really built to learn like adults do. Like I said, I set my watch for 20 minutes just to make sure that I don't personally put my own agenda ahead of my daughter's needs, and I will do the lesson. And now I do pay attention to her body language, and there are certain things that she'll tell me through body language to say that like, this isn't working, I need a break. And I will listen to that. And sometimes it does happen. Sometimes we have those rough days. And if you watched a recent video I did, the homeschooling while sick with COVID, you've seen that that was kind of happening with her, but we had to handle it in that moment, and we were able to push through and still finish schooling, maybe just not the way that I personally would have expected it to go, but we met her needs where she was, and we still accomplished finishing school with me paying attention to her body language and her attention time span. So guys, don't worry about completing a lesson. There's always tomorrow to finish it, okay? There's no need to feel like you need to check off your list to make sure that you're meeting your homeschool goals. This is about the child and their needs, and we can't always rely on them to finish the lesson right then and there when we want, just because that's how we work. With children, it goes a lot differently. So relax and keep in mind that you always have tomorrow, and to just focus on what their needs are in that moment and teach them according to that. I felt it was important to explain that information about the time frames before diving into brain breaks, because you need to understand that specifically to properly utilize brain breaks. Brain breaks are to get a break from the workload that they have. More specifically, let's talk about what is a brain break. Like, what is it, Misty? And before we dive into the proper explanation part of this video for a brain break, let's talk about what we do not do when a lesson is finished. We do not go from one subject to the next. So I'm not going to do my estimated 20 minutes of reading and then jump into 20 minutes of math. We do not do that. That is a recipe for disaster, and it really is a buzzkill for the fun part of school. And I think that's a common mistake people make, is their day can be a little bit dry and boring, or even frustrating to get through because they're going subject to subject. Because honestly, that's how we're trained to do, right? That's what they do in schools. You finish a class, you have a few minutes before the bell rings to get to your next class, and you start over again. But really, we should be giving children the opportunity to rest their brains and kind of slow down that overstimulation that we're giving them. So now this is where brain breaks come into play. I felt like I needed to explain all of that ahead so that you fully understand why brain breaks are so crucial and how they uniquely play a role in a school day for homeschooling or in schools in general. I feel like every school should be doing this. So Misty, what is a brain break? You've said all this, now get to the point. What is a brain break? So a brain break is an opportunity, it's an activity for a kid to refocus and to improve their attention span for the day. Now, often when you're looking into brain breaks, they would recommend something physical to do, but there are other ways you can do it, and we're going to go over plenty of options for you to look at, as well as you can always find more options with just getting creative on your own or looking into it more, looking into brain breaks. But yeah, I'll have some options for you at the end of this video. But the reason why physical activity is often recommended is because it helps them get their wiggles out, which is so important. If you guys have watched my circle time video on how we do our circle time, you know that I find it very crucial to have those breaks in between what they're learning at circle time to get the wiggles out so they can refocus. And this works the same exact way. So yes, it is often recommended to do physical activities, but there are other things we could do as well that are a little more mild. So it just depends on what your kid likes. But even things such as activity trays and sensory bins, which you know I'm a huge advocate for if you've watched any of my videos. Now, brain breaks are often recommended to take 15 to 30 minutes to do. Traditionally, like that's what you would want to do. But I personally don't go by that. I say let your child tell you how long to go. Sometimes they just need a few minutes, less than 15, because say that you just got done with math and that was very stimulating and exhausting. Now we just need a little break to recoup, and then we're going to their favorite subject maybe, which is like art, right? So then they don't need as much of a break compared to like if we're doing some heavy math and then going into some heavy reading, things like that. So I think just pay attention to your kid, let them tell you how long of a brain break they need in between each activity. So maybe they need a few minutes, maybe they need 15 minutes, maybe they do need a full 30 minutes. So not only do I allow my child to tell me how long the brain break needs to be, but it also lets her kind of guide me and show me what the activity should be based on her interests. I like to give her choices, and the choices are all around the room, and you can kind of see some back here. I've talked plenty of times about these trays, which I'm changing out soon, and there will be a video coming on that too. But I leave things around the room for them to get their brain breaks with and kind of choose what they want. Also, a brain break might look like this, which is Viviana usually does her reading first thing in the morning. That's the most important thing to me. So we get that done first and foremost. That way, if something happens and we don't get anything else done, at least she's working on her reading. Reading is the key to the entire world. If you can read, you can do anything. So then we finish our reading, and it was a lot. And then I go, okay, you know what? You go ahead and do the trays, do what you want. And now I'm going to work with your sister. So then I'll grab her sister and we'll work on her flashcards for language, and we'll work on her shapes or whatever it may be. And that gives Viviana the time to relax and do what she wants to do. So I'm able to take advantage of that time frame for her to get a brain break and for me to spend time working with Savannah. That's one way I do it, where I alternate kids with the brain breaks, or it could be that I work with all three of them on a brain break at the same time, just depending on the day and what we've accomplished, where we are with everything. So you kind of just have to figure out what works for you. Okay, so now we've talked about attention time frames, we've talked about brain breaks and how they're useful, what they are. But now, what are brain breaks? What can I do? What can I do in my own daily life to give them these opportunities to refocus and recharge? I have a list of some things that we do that I decided to write down and share with you guys. And beyond this, there are plenty more ideas, you guys. Just use your brain, think about it a little bit, and come up with your own brain break activities. I'm sure that you will come up with some great things, but here is a list I would recommend. Now, first and foremost, for the beginners with brain breaks, go to YouTube. Type on YouTube, on the search engine, brain breaks. That's all you have to type, and you will be amazed how many videos come up on there to give you a video format of a brain break. So that's a great way to introduce yourself into how to start adding them into your day. Another big one, especially for my younger child, is to have a dance party. Sometimes you just need to let go of the seriousness that can come with curriculum and to get your wiggles out and to have fun having a dance party. And that's a big thing that we do. Another great thing is sensory bins. Sensory bins are really great when your child is overstimulated and even agitated maybe, because then they have the chance to have those tactile experiences with their hands. And there's something about it that's so soothing to the brain, and it can help them refocus that attention into calming down and just being present in the moment with the sensory that they're experiencing. So I highly recommend sensory bins for when you need those brain breaks to be calm. They're great at any point, to be honest. It's my favorite. Once again, if you've watched my videos, you know I love sensory bins. So I highly recommend them for any reason at all, period, but I do think it works best for those calming moments you need. Once again, I will mention 100,000 times on my channel, these activity trays. We have not changed them out since we had COVID because I was just afraid to add anything new out, but it's time to go ahead and change them again. And these activities are great because they come out on a tray, which is easy to clean up. So for you parents that want it like to have a place and the kids know where it goes back to, and they have like The tray also kind of gives them the guideline of how far to let this mess go. You know, they keep it on the tray. Yeah, trays are good because they're clean, they're easy, they have a space to go back, they're neat and tidy, and they're jam-packed with learning for your kids, and your kids enjoy it. Mine do anyways. They will enjoy it. When I did work with more children than just my own, they loved activity trays as well. The next one is a fun one that I'm planning to do this year with my oldest daughter especially. And that is to create an indoor obstacle course. And that can be with household items you have, or you can get online and find options for this. And so I do have some things that I'm thinking of in my own head, and if I end up getting them or creating them, I will let you guys know for sure. But with planning to do this obstacle course, we will be building it together. And that's very important. If you can't spend the time building it with them, say you want to use their brain break to prep for the next lesson, that's okay. I understand. We can't play with our kids 24/7. Totally get it. But you do need to help them initiate the beginning of building this obstacle course. You could yourself pre-build the obstacle course and just have them do it. But either way, whether you're having them do a pre-made obstacle course or you're having them build it, you need to help initiate the beginning of the obstacle course. Young minds actually don't have the ability to initiate this independent play, especially with something strategic like building an obstacle course. So you would get on their level and help them start maybe the first few steps of it, and then you can say something like, all right, I'm so happy with where this is going. I have to step away and get your next lesson ready, but I would love for you to build this obstacle course and have it ready to show me by the time I'm done. That's wonderful. They will then be excited to do this project, and they'll have the anticipation of showing it to you, and then you can go do what you need to do and come back, and then you guys can do the obstacle course and have some fun there before continuing on with your next lesson. Another great idea is open-ended art. Create an art space, whether it's permanent or just like a day-to-day thing. You decide if you're going to do it that day or not. And with this art space, I would recommend having options of different mediums that you're one, okay with the mess of, okay? And that two, they can work with or without you. So, you know, markers, or those like dot markers, stamps, paint. If you're okay with them doing paint without you, that's an option. So just make sure it's things that, like, if you walk away from them, you would feel safe with them still having it out. But yes, create an open-ended art section somewhere in your house, and they can go to that space and they can get through the exhaustion of their brain by creating something new. And I say open-ended art for a brain break because I personally feel like having a specific craft in mind with a target as an end goal is still overstimulating their brain, because then they're working to reach an objective. Like, say you want them to paint this Christmas tree and you're wanting to glue the garland on and the light bulbs. Well, then they have an objective to meet, and that could be stressful to the brain, considering you're trying to get a break. You're not trying to create more stimulation. You're trying to relax it and let it refocus on something else. So open-ended art is great because it comes without any pressure, and they can create whatever they want to create. Another thing is jumping activities or exercising, stretching, anything like that. Especially if you want to go 30 minutes. My oldest daughter will do a 30-minute workout session. So I will put on, we do what's called Dance to Fit, and they have a kid program on there, and I'll put that on and she'll do some like dance cardio for 15-30 minutes. Sometimes she'll actually join me in like HIIT trainings that I do, or weights. You can create your own exercises, find YouTube channels that have kids exercises specifically. You could just work on some stretches, maybe think of some yoga poses that you could work on with your kids just to improve their mobility and their posture, or whatever it may be that you want to focus on. Fantasy play is a huge one, and what fantasy play is, it's dress up. It's playing dress up. So it's getting out the princess dresses or the chef's apron, and to create just those fake scenarios where they can just kind of creatively express themselves through theater. This is early theater, really, and that's another great brain break. All right, guys, those are my brain break ideas. Like I said, there are so many options, Blocks are a great one. Whatever it may be, guys, just look around your house, see what you have, look at your space. What can you create? What can you imagine? What can you do to let them let go of that overstimulation of learning those new objectives, and just let them let go and have fun? Like I said, let a lot. And thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Once again, if you're brand new, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so that you can see the future videos, including the next 2 videos about this specific series, which is 3 things you might be doing wrong in homeschool. I also do plan to go more in depth on all 3 of these subjects that is in the series, so make sure you subscribe so that you can get more info, more in depth on these things. And if you found this video useful, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button so I know that you're enjoying this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have fun homeschooling. Bye!